Hello, welcome to the Elder Abuse Task Force presentation of the Multidisciplinary Teams Framework. This presentation is entitled Elder Justice Multidisciplinary Teams Working Together to Meet the Needs of the Community. My name is Scott Elfelt. I am the Elder Justice Director for the Prosecuting Attorneys Association of Michigan. So what are multidisciplinary teams? Well, a multidisciplinary team is nothing more than a group of professionals that come together and that are bound by a common purpose. It's the idea that a group of people, professionals in a particular discipline, can come together, meet, and attack a shared problem from a variety of different angles. It's the idea that you kind of come at it from all sides. Now in Michigan, when we talk about vulnerable adult abuse and elder justice initiatives, there are two recently updated and overhauled protocols that guide in forming and maintaining these teams throughout the state. The first is the Community Engagement Protocol. That governs more of the resources and assistance towards vulnerable adults in that particular community. And then you have the Investigative Protocol, which is kind of like a smaller, more narrowly focused protocol that deals specifically with the criminal justice needs of a particular case. Now, these protocols, both of them, and these teams are intended to be community focused. What works in Livingston County, for example, may not necessarily be the best fit for a group of people in Mecosta County. Now, currently in Michigan, we have 32 of these teams operating at various levels with various priorities throughout the state. There is a 33rd being formed right now and may very well be in existence at the time that you are viewing this presentation. So let's kind of get into it and focus on what we're working with here. There are two, as I said, there are two types of elder justice teams. The first is our community engagement teams. If you think about it, this is something that we already do in our respective fields. We talk to each other. If you have a situation, or sometimes you just want to get another set of eyes on the problem that you're dealing with, you go to your colleagues, you go to the other people in your community and in your profession that can help you kind of solve this issue or address the problem. So these protocols essentially are formalizing that process by bringing together not just the people in your narrow field, but experts in fields that could help you out. Maybe something that you don't necessarily know about, maybe something that it's an area that you don't have a contact in. These protocols bring people together to meet the needs of that particular community. So the community engagement teams are organized under, as I said, the E-MDT protocol. Now this protocol is focused on assisting the vulnerable adults outside of the criminal justice process. You have to remember, prosecution is necessarily reactionary. And prosecutors in the criminal justice system comes in after something bad has happened. Now, while that process seeks to hold accountable those that have done the quote-unquote bad thing, the offense has already happened, and the harm has already befallen the vulnerable adult. Community engagement team protocol is designed to bring together groups of people that will assist in educating the community, raising awareness in the community, and in general, connecting resources with the vulnerable adults before the harm ever befalls them. For example, one thing that is occurring on this year's 2022 World Elder Abuse Awareness Day is a slew of community events and seminars, and is overall just educating the community and raising awareness. You could also find a community engagement team working with, say, financial institutions to educate the vulnerable adult population in that particular community on good practices, common schemes, and any number of different ways that they can help out on making sure that a vulnerable adult is not being exploited financially. But most importantly, these are supposed to be community based. It is assistance, resources, community education, and outreach informing that particular community. Think prevention, aid, and education, not prosecution. Ultimately, the specific purposes of these teams are going to depend entirely on the needs of the communities that they serve. So what are the benefits of these teams? Well, one of the primary benefits is that these teams help coordinate services directly to vulnerable adults. This can be something as simple as Meals on Wheels and things of that nature, to assisting people in getting to medical appointments, to something so far as participating in a hoarding task force where members of the team go into the house to assist this person in restoring their residence to a habitable living environment. Another thing these teams do that's of critical use is provide training for not only member agencies to each other, but also raising community awareness and educating the public at large in measures of prevention and assistance that are available to the vulnerable adult population in that particular community. It also provides an opportunity for network and access to specialists that may not be available locally. For example, if you have an MDT that's operating in, let's just say, Mecosta County, and maybe they're encountering a problem that is something new to them, they can reach out to other MDTs in the state and ask around and connect with particularly focused experts that might be able to help in that issue. That's not necessarily something that they would have access to otherwise. The goal of these teams is to facilitate cooperation and the flow of information among member agencies. We want to connect vulnerable adults and the people that care for them to the resources that are there for them. That is, in a nutshell, the guiding light, so to speak, of a vulnerable adult community engagement team. As I said, there are two types of teams in this state under these protocols. The community engagement team, as we covered, was designed to connect essentially the needs of the vulnerable adult to the resources of the community, as well as educate and assist the community at large. A subset of that is what's called the Mi-VAT protocol, the Vulnerable Adult Investigative Teams Protocol. That is comprised of members of the criminal justice system as well as other experts in the MDT field, and it is something that is designed specifically to promote and lead to more successful accountability and prosecution of offenders. The primary focus of the investigative teams, and this comes right out of the protocol itself, is to ensure the coordination and collaboration of agencies to investigate, intervene, prosecute, prevent abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation of older and vulnerable adults. Now, this doesn't prohibit the members of the Mi-VAT from joining other MDTs, quite the contrary. We want the members of the Mi-VAT teams to be well-informed and experts in the field. But there are some requirements at play for the investigative teams that do not necessarily exist in the community engagement protocol. The first thing is that the participants, there are certain required participants for a Mi-VAT team. There are 3 absolutely required people. The first is a representative from the local prosecutor's office, that being somebody from that county's prosecutor's office, either the elected person themselves or an assistant prosecutor as they designate to serve on that team. Second, we have a representative from Adult Protective Services on the team. And third, somebody from the local law enforcement agencies. That can be multiple participants. For example, you might have a representative from the Sheriff's Department as well as a representative from the Michigan State Police and several of the township agencies or city agencies that exist in that particular jurisdiction. But those are the three key participants under the protocol. You have to have a representative from the prosecutor's office, Adult Protective Services, and law enforcement. Now, you can have other members serving on the team as befitting that particular community, so long as each member is knowledgeable about the vulnerable adult abuse and exploitation cases that they're going to be working on and are obviously willing to work together. The primary function of a Mi-VAT team, an investigative team, is the case review process. That is the mechanism whereby these several agencies, again, the key participants being the prosecutor, the law enforcement, and the APS, come together and review potentially criminal cases. Now, ideally, again, in a perfect world, the specific format will be set forth in a memorandum of understanding. And the protocol has one or two samples available contained in it. But that will set forth the specific format and the mode as far as the case review processes and how it's going to work for that particular team. However, regardless of which method they adopt, it's going to follow or have some key components. First of all, you're going to have the presentation of the case. Either it's a new case or previous case, but somebody has information to bring toward the case review team, and that's going to consist of presentation of reports, any kind of documents or photographs and things of that nature, enough to facilitate the discussion of the case, which, as you can imagine, is the next step. After the case is presented, it is discussed among the team members. Now, this is a key thing to touch upon right now, is that during this discussion and when you're engaging in this case review process, it's important to note that each team member is bound by certain standards of confidentiality. This is designed to be a private discussion, right, amongst the team to facilitate more successful prosecution later on down the line. It is not meant to be a critique or commentary necessarily on the work of any particular agency, meaning APS is not there to comment and point fingers at law enforcement. Law enforcement isn't there to comment and point fingers at the prosecutor. No, the goal here is to work together, not point fingers. So you want to have a frank discussion about the issues that are present in the case that was just brought to the attention of the team. After fair discussion, you have a recommendation of each team member, and then ideally a consensus on the group for that case and what should happen next. Now, there are several successes of both these types of teams throughout the state already. For example, in Marquette, we have the Triad team, which has been raising awareness on fraud schemes as well as engaging in pretty remarkable fundraising to provide assistance to vulnerable adults in their community. In Genesee County, we have the Elder Abuse Alliance, which is consistently engaged in phenomenal community outreach, assistance, and education. They've also been able to successfully intervene to stop a large-scale financial loss recently in a kind of complicated financial exploitation scheme. They have been able to step in and not only educate, but also prohibit the quote-unquote harm. And in Muskegon, Oceana, and Ottawa counties, we have the Safe Seniors Initiative. They have a multidisciplinary team, a community engagement protocol, as well as a Mi-VAT protocol operating in tandem. That is very well organized. For example, their criminal case review process, since its implementation in 2018, has procured roughly $1.7 million in restitution orders on the criminal cases. So if you're interested in either creating a team, or maybe you have a team and you're looking to tweak it or improve it, adjust kind of what you're doing, we're here to help. The Elder Abuse Task Force, as well as the MDT group, we have tools in place to help out whenever it's needed. For example, we have mentorship teams that have agreed to serve throughout the state. We have in-depth training on both the Mi-VAT protocol as well as the community engagement protocol. We have resources that are available to you. All you have to do is call us up and ask. We're happy to help. We want to see these teams in counties and communities across the state, because where people come together and where people talk, they will invariably improve the service to the most vulnerable adults in their particular jurisdictions. Copies of each of these protocols, as well as a slew of other resources when it comes to multidisciplinary teams and combating elder abuse at large, are available on the Michigan Attorney General's website, the Elder Abuse Task Force, which the link is posted in the presentation. I'll leave that up for a moment and allow you to jot it down, or you can pause the video and visit the link accordingly. If you have any questions about any of this information, you can feel free to contact myself, Scott Opel. I'm the Elder Justice of PAM. I focus on the Mi-VAT protocol, and I assist Ron Tatro, who is the director of the Michigan Elder Justice Coordinating Council. His focus is on developing the community engagement teams throughout the state. Either of us are happy to help and give you the tools necessary to succeed in creating these teams and serving your community in combating this issue. So I thank you very much for your time and attention in watching this presentation, and I hope you have learned a little something, and have a great day.